Hi guys, hello, and welcome. It is I am Mitch, and welcome. This is Unseen Universe. I hope everybody's all right. How you doing, everybody? Good. Well, it's good to see. There's just a few people in at the moment. We're not going to hang around. We're just going to crack on. I hope everybody's well. So, Stuart, Greg, Nature in a Bottle. I've forgotten your name, my friend. Welcome, guys. I hope everybody's all right. So. This is my new series. This is a new series that I've just started. I basically have been thinking about doing something for a while. I want to bring across to you some of the things, not only some of the things that I do behind the scenes, but also, obviously, I want to be able to show you some of the things that I do, So, not just Mantis stuff, but a whole range of invert related stuff. Hints, tips, procedures, techniques, all that sort of stuff. So tonight, basically, because I had a hatch, mantis hatch, a couple of days ago, and it was about 36 hours ago, and I had to split them up tonight. So I thought, why not do a stream, show you guys quickly what I do. There's not a lot of nymphs. It's a relatively small hatch. So I just thought I would crack on, do a stream, show you guys. So tonight, first episode, first installment of the series. How I do this, or what I do, or how I've even forgotten what I've called it. So how do I do this? Basically, is what this is all about. It is yeah. So let me have a look. Yeah, sorry, just checking something there. Just checking something. Okay, right. So here we go. Harriet's in the house. How you doing, Harriet? You're all right? So yeah, basically, like I was saying, this is going to be a series of short but sweet streams, relatively short anyway. And it's basically what works for me. What works for me. I just decided to put together some stuff. So tonight's the first one. I had a hatch, like I did say. So basically, this stream is all about. Oh, hang on. Wait a minute before I proceed with all my paraphernalia. My good friend, my buddy, my partner in crime, the guy who does a little bit of work for me behind the scenes and helps me out. It's Gav. We all know Gav. Here we
Hey,
go. Hang on a second. Let me just remove that one. Big fish. Get rid of big fish. There we go. Gav, how you doing, mate?
hey,
It's Gav from Impossible Inverts. He's going to be helping behind the scenes. What basically is going to happen? I'm going to just crack on with what I have got going on here. And as always, Gav's going to be there behind the scenes. He's going to be there, but he's also going to be behind the scenes. He's going to be helping me by looking out for your questions. I am happy to take some questions, but please, what I want to do is I want to keep it on topic. So I want your questions to be specifically about what happens when you have an ooth hatch. So your mantis has dropped an ooth. It's fertile. It's hatched. Oh my goodness, you've got nymphs everywhere. What do we do? Okay, this is a very, very quick run through. So I'm happy to take your questions. Gavalar here is going to look out in the chat for any questions related to when the youth has hatched. What do we do in the instance? What do we do to ensure that as many of those little babies running around survive? We want to help them all survive if we can. There's only so much we can do, but we can help. We can help a lot, and basically you can also hinder. So also there are some do's and don'ts. So if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. Put a Q in front of your question so Gav can pick up on it straight away. He'll star those questions, and then we can maybe run through. I will answer questions while I'm doing what I'm going to be doing. I'll talk through what I'm going to do as well, and then when obviously I'm not talking, I'll take a question and I'll try and answer it best I can. So please just remember, this stream is only related to when a Mantis Ooth hatches. What do we do next? This is basically what works for me. This is what I do. I'll tell you what I've been doing for the last God knows how many years. Obviously, it's been trials and tribulations. I'm still learning. Everybody's learning. We're all learning along the way. So What we want to do is, I just want to try and pass on to you guys what I've learned along the way. And like I said, the reason I've called this "What Works for Me" is because I can only talk to you about my own experiences and what has and hasn't worked for me in the past. So I'm not going to argue with anybody about what they do and what they think is right. Everybody has their own way of doing things, guys. I'm more than happy to accept if whatever works for you, if it's different to what I do, that's perfectly fine, guys. You know, whatever works for you guys. This series is about what works for me. So that's all I can do is tell you what I've been doing. So there you go. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm just going to crack on. So I have my little box of paraphernalia. I'm going to bring in, I'm just going to reduce you down, Gav. That's all right, my friend. And then I'm gonna crack on. I'm gonna bring Big Fish up so we can see what we're doing. I'm just gonna push that away a little bit. Right. Do you want me to basically
bring the question straight up?
I'm just gonna run through the what you need to prepare. So basically, here we have. This is a cricket tub. Now I'm not going to talk too much about how I incubate ooths. We can do another one on that. I know it's a bit back to front, but like I said, these little babies needed to be taken care of straight away. I'm just going to bring this up so you can see it better. There we go. So in there you can see Deroplatis desiccata, or the giant deadleaf mantis. That is what I've got in there. I'm not going to talk too much about the general setup because, like I say, that's for another stream. I will do that another time. Basically, you can see I've had a hatch. There's probably about, I don't know, there's probably about 20 odd in there, maybe 20 something. So they're ready. Basically, this ooth hatched about 36 hours ago now, maybe closer to 48 hours. So they're definitely ready to come out. Now, I'll just put that to one side for now. I'm going to run through what you need. So you need your nymphs, obviously. I have, let me just crack on. I have my 4-ounce pots. There we go. You definitely need your pots. I use 4-ounce pots. So we need those. We need some food. We'll talk about this later. I do have some food here, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Trusty kitchen roll, man. That is a Mantis breeder's holy grail right there. If you've watched previous streams of mine, you've heard me talk about kitchen roll before. I might even do an entire stream on kitchen roll, Gav, one day. So there you go, kitchen roll. We'll talk about what we need that for. Organza mesh. There we go. We've got that. We definitely need that. We also need scissors, fine-tuning scissors and large scissors. There we go. And also we need the lids for the pots. Now, these lids come with the pots. I've already cut out. Here's one I did earlier. I've always wanted to say that. There we go. I've already cut out the lid. You can see there, cut out to maximize ventilation. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. I've got enough there. So there we go. We'll clear that off. Just pull up the comments. So go on then, Gab. Before I start, I'll take a question before I start. What we got? Who we got? What we got?
We got this one.
Is there any problems with leaving infertile ooths in the enclosure with the mantis? My ghost has laid 4, but I haven't removed them. Okay, Harriet. Thank you for the question, Harriet. No, there is no problem whatsoever in my mind leaving the infertile ooths in the enclosure with the mantis. I actually have this little piece of advice whenever anybody messages me, and hang on, sorry, I need to remind myself to do these things. Whenever anybody messages me and tells me that their female has laid an ooth and they're really concerned and they're not sure whether it's fertile or not, I always say, has it been bred? What species is it? Some species are parthenogenic, which we'll not talk about right now. We'll leave that for another episode. It basically means they don't need to be bred. to be fertile. If your mantis is one of those mantises that does need to be bred and paired with a male in order to be fertile, you're going to get infertile ooths. So what I say to people is, there are two options. You can either wait for the ooth to dry out so it hardens up, and then you can pop it off. Usually, it's usually going to be on a surface where it can just be popped off after, or it can be encouraged off just by sliding a blade, a very sharp blade, being ever so careful, obviously, because as Mr. Maker would say, knives are sharp. So basically, you can slide it down the between the surface that the ooth is on and the actual ooth, and you can pop that straight off. Now, if you want to leave it, I always say leave it. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to do any harm. It's just going to be completely sterile. It's just going to sit there. And also, depending on the species, mantises make some of the most beautiful structures in terms of ooths. I often, and still to this day, after seeing thousands and thousands of ooths over the years, I still admire the architecture of a beautifully crafted ooth. So my advice is, if you want to leave it, leave it. I think it makes a beautiful addition and a nice bit of art deco to the to the enclosure. So that's what I say. Harriet, if you want to leave it, leave it. It's not going to do any harm. It's not going to go moldy. It's not going to do anything weird. It's just going to sit there looking very beautiful. You can see Gav there. He's, hang on, Gav, sorry. I didn't actually bring any youths apart from what's in this tub. But you can see Gav has shown you some ooths there, examples of some ooths.
Popper Spurker.
Yeah.
Ghost, which
Ghost at the bottom.
Is very familiar with its little taily piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one.
This is a really small one.
I can't see it properly from here.
Began with a G. It was ages ago I had that. And I think
it's in the amoeba. It's Galantheus amoeba.
That's the one.
Amina. Galantheus amina. It's the African flower mantis.
Giant Asian.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Labata.
sure what that one is.
It's Derek. Is it Labata?
Yeah, it could be.
Anyway. Yeah, I can't see it properly from here. It looks like Deraplatis labata from here. Anyway, so there you go. There's some beautiful, some examples of some ooths. I've actually got loads and loads of ooths somewhere. I'll have to make a nice presentation of them sometime. But yes, just to return back to that, Harriet, it's perfectly fine to leave it where it is. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to do anything. It's sterile. It's like I say. They're absolutely beautifully crafted pieces of architecture. I actually really love them. If it were me, I would just leave it where it is. It makes a beautiful addition and a nice bit of art deco to your enclosure. So if you want to leave it, leave it. It's perfectly fine. So there you go. Right, there's a few people more in the house. James is in the house. How you doing, James? Francis is in. How you doing, Francis? I've said hello to everybody else. Stuart, yeah, there you go. He needs more mantis. Stuart, I am your man. So there you go. Right, let's crack on, shall we? Like I said, I've got some Deraplatis desiccata. Here we go. There you go. Look, it's there's about 20 in there. So the reason I've chosen tonight to do this is because these are a really, really good species to kind of talk through. Simply because they're not overly active. When I open the tub, they're not going to run all over the place, and I can chit chat while I kind of do what I'm doing. So let's just do that, shall we? So basically, let me put a light on. See, really need to get my shit together, man. These lights just aren't really on.
This is my favourite Deraplatis, this.
You what, sorry?
This is my favourite Deraplatis. The desiccata.
Favourite mantis?
Okay, that cool. Genus.
Yeah. Yeah, Deraplatis are a nice genus, definitely, for sure. Right, okay. What we're going to do is, first thing we need to do is we need some pots. Obviously, we need some pots. So basically, I've got my pots here, like I said before. And now what I do is I use a little bit of kitchen roll, and I just put some pre-cut sheets of kitchen roll. Hang on, because you can't see what I'm doing. Some pre-cut sheets of kitchen roll. There we go. So fold that over again. This is just my method that I use. Get the old scissors, cut it in half. I feel like I'm on. I feel like Mr. Maker. I really do. I feel like I'm knocking something up. There we go. And I'm just going to cut out some circles. Like I say, this is just what I do. There are easier ways, there are harder ways. It all depends. This is just what I'm used to, so therefore I stick to it. Cutting out some circles. Now, the circles are basically just to go in the bottom of the 4-ounce container. The reason, obviously, I'm saying a lot of things that are going to be really obvious to people, but I'm hoping this video is going to help people who have never hatched an ooth before. They don't know what they're doing. They just need a step-by-step guide, and that's what this is. So there you go. I haven't brought a bin in, so we'll just chuck that on the floor. So there you go. We've got our pre-cut tissues. So because they're 2-ply, it's generally two sheets stuck together. So it's so don't make it too thin. I just use 2 thin sheets stuck together. They generally come like already stuck together, sort of thing. So I'm just gonna rack up. What I'll do is usually I'll just pot up about 10 to begin with. I mean, when I'm at home and I'm in full flight, I'll be doing more than this. I'd lay out loads, but for now I'm just gonna put out 10. So there you go, just 2-ply. Take that out, 2 sheets, however many you want. Really, this is just what I do. Again, what works for me. It's the new catchphrase.
I bet when you're doing this normally, you're doing this like two-handed.
Yeah. I mean, I've burned through this, So there you go. I'm basically just putting a couple of sheets in each one. There we go. That is basically the tissue. The tissue is basically has a couple of functions. One is to provide humidity. It just soaks up enough water to provide enough humidity for a day, maybe 2 days, depending on how heat the room is that you're keeping them in, sort of thing. So I'll give them all a spray with the trusted spray. Or just a quick spray. There's no need to drench. You don't want just a short spray. You basically, all you want to do is you just want to wet the tissue, obviously, and then the spray back will just spray some droplets all around the inside edges of the tub like that. Now, you don't want to drench it through completely, just because depending on the species of mantis that you've got, these Deroplatids tend to be, in fact, all of the Deroplatids tend to be quite big as first instar nymphs. These are quite big. So, they're not going to get like bogged down in water droplets too much. They will if you put way too much water in there, then even they're going to get stuck, and they might drown, or they're going to get stuck on big water droplets, and they're not going to be able to move, and they're just going to drown and die. So you don't want to put too much in, but you want to put enough in that there's enough moisture in there to last at least 24 to 36 hours, because you don't want to be spraying them twice a day. You want to be spraying them, probably once a day, but we'll talk about that again in a minute. So there you go. I've set up the premise, the basic, the pots. So I've got those. They are ready. We'll put those to one side. Now what we need is, we've got our lids, remember? I've already pre-cut these. So if I didn't mention that before, I've basically just cut out the hole in the top to maximize ventilation. And now we've got the organza. And again, I'm just going to cut this. So just enough. So you think about how big the top of the pot is. You want to make it just wide enough so that obviously there's some overlap. There's some, so it flaps over the sides when you put the lid on. So you're looking at, you're looking at 6 or 7 centimeters. You'll work it out. Just have a little look at what size the pot is, and then obviously cut it to size. So we'll just do enough here for That's 9. I'm going to cut each of these into 3. 12. 15. 18. So there you go. I'm going to cut each of these strips into 3. So I've cut enough there for 21. There's enough there for 21 pots. I'm not entirely sure how many mantis we've got, but you know, I want to make sure I've got enough. I can always cut more, obviously. It's no big deal. So here we go. So I'm just going to line those all up. Put them on top of each other. You can't see what I'm doing. Sorry, I've not got the camera lined up properly. There you go. I'm basically just stacking them on top of each other. So they're nicely lined up like that. There we go. There we go. There we go. There you go. So I've got them all lined up there like that. And then I'm just going to cut them. And again, I'm just going to cut them into squares. 3 equal squares. There you go, look. Boom. 21. So we'll put those to one side. So as you can see, we've got one here, look. That's basically going to go over the pot like so. You've got your lid. Boom. There we go. One mesh top lid with the hole in the middle to maximize ventilation. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, I know it looks very simple. It's very basic. But you know what? That's exactly what you need. You don't want to over-engineer it. You don't want to overcomplicate. You don't want to do anything to, you know, make too much trouble for yourself. Trust me, these nymphs don't care. They will be perfectly happy as long as you've provided a practical, functional little habitat for them to live in. That is all that matters. Honestly, it really, really doesn't matter. This is the best way and quickest way and most functional way and basic way that I've found to do over the years. So there you go. You've got your little tub. That's plenty big enough for 1 or 2 nymphs. You've got your tissue in the bottom providing humidity, and also they will drink from that tissue, and then that tissue then is in place so that over the days and coming weeks, that nymph is going to live in that pot for at least another 4 weeks. So what you want to do is the idea of the tissue is not only does it absorb plenty of moisture and it keeps the humidity up for a little while, for quite a few hours, and then the humidity will decrease as the tissue dries up. And that's a good thing. That's what you want. You don't want your nymphs, because, you know, in reality, in nature, the nymphs aren't kept in a perfectly preserved biosphere where temperatures and humidity levels are exactly the same day and night. It's just not like that. So what you want to do is you want to think about, yes, you want to provide the humidity, but also you want that humidity to be more of a spectrum, more of a range, you know. So it's high, drifts down to low, and then maybe the next day, you know, when the humidity's like reached probably the relative humidity of the room that your nymphs are in, you want to spray it again, and then that will then increase the humidity back up, and so the process will begin again. And that is perfectly fine. Now, the good thing the tissue provides is because it's white, you can see how dirty it's getting over time. So, you know, you want to make sure that any leftover body parts, dead bodies, or anything that the nymph has left behind, and also excrements, you know, the waste materials coming from the mantis, these all eventually over time are going to make the tissue dirty, you know, and not very nice. It's going to make it unclean. And what that's going to lead to, because you've got organic matter in there, that is basically going to lead to bacterial and fungal growth if you leave it too long. So the good thing about the white tissue is you can see how impure and how dirty that tissue is getting. That gives you a good idea as to when you think you might need to clean it. Once it starts getting a little bit manky, you know, you can clean it. So when they're very, very small, like these are, very young, you know, you can go quite a while, quite a few days without worrying about changing the tissue, simply because when they're this small, there's not a lot of actual waste coming out of them. They're taking in all that and they're keeping it. So, but obviously you might want to think about changing it when it starts to get a little bit grey and dirty and brown and, you know, that sort of thing. So Well, that's the beauty of the tissue. So there you go. Enough about tissue. Let's get cracking, shall we? Do you want to take? Have we got any more questions, Gav?
Yeah, I've got a couple. We do have a couple that are off topic, but
well, we might come back to them.
There we go.
We might come back to them later, but I really want to.
It's just a quick.
I really want to keep this on topic. Okay, yeah. Is it quick? I'm not sure, Greg. I'm not going as a seller. I'm not going to be a vendor there. So Unseen Universe is not going to be there selling anything. But I still haven't decided yet. I may go to Taunton. I am thinking about going, taking the old camera and maybe doing a bit of live streaming or whatever. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I might just go and enjoy the day and have a little bit of fun and meet and greet all the old muckers. So I may be there. I might not be there. I'm definitely not going to be there selling anything. So sorry about that. Anything else? Oh, sorry. Yeah. All right. Sorry. I was waiting for you to read it out, Gav, but I'll read it. It's all right. When you have a huge hatch, what's the best way of separating them without them all skating and running up your arm and around the room? Yeah, asking for a friend, of course. Yeah, so let me just pull up myself again. Right, okay. So, I mean, there's a couple of ways. Basically, the first thing you have to do is establish whether or not the species that you're incubating, the ooth from which species you're incubating, makes a difference as to what kind of enclosure you incubate it. So if it's something like a giant Asian mantis, where you know if it's highly fertile, you're going to get at least between 100 to 300 nymphs. I know it's a wide range, but trust me, you can get anywhere between 100 and 300. So you might want to think about, obviously, incubating that in something a little bit bigger than your average cricket tub. There's a couple of things you can do. You can either when it's hatched, let's just say, for instance, it hatches in this. Let's say you've got 200 nymphs running around inside a cricket tub, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to get these out of here without them running everywhere? There's a couple of things you can do. You can either keep the cricket tub as it is when you incubate the ooth, and then when they all hatch out, when it's time to pot them up or do something with them, you can get yourself a mesh cage, get yourself a mesh cube, and you can put some tissue paper in the bottom, just some kitchen roll, just moisten that, and then put the tub inside the mesh cage. Oh, take the lid off, and just leave it. You can either just leave it there, or you can take the lid off and you can kind of encourage them all out and do all that and get rid of the do that. But if it were me, if I wanted to do it that way, I would just take the lid off, put it in, zip it up, and leave them. And then what you can do is you've got the opportunity to. Because then they'll just disperse throughout the whole of the mesh cube, like a big 30 by 30 by 30. They'll just disperse, and then basically you can just then unzip the mesh cube, and you can get a little pot, and you can just scoop up. You can get your pots that you've already got the tissue paper in, and you can just encourage one or two, or however many you want to put in your pot. And you can just encourage them that way with just your arms inside the mesh cube, a little hole. Obviously, you might get the odd few coming out. You just have to keep an eye on whether or not a few are coming out. But they're not all going to rush out of the mesh door. If you've only got a little hole and your arm's in there as well, you can then just scoop up a couple of nymphs, bring it out, put the mesh on, put the lid on, move on to the next one. Put your hand in. Take a few out, so you could do that. Then they're not going to run all over the place. Like I say, a few might come out. They might try and run out a little bit, but you're only going to get one or two, and you can control that. That's not a problem. The other thing you can do, and this is something I used to do, I don't do it anymore, but when you prepare your cricket tub or whatever container you use, you can put a little hole. Put a hole in the side or wherever, and then bung it. So cut a hole, bung it with some foam, and leave it. And then when it hatches, and all the nymphs are running around, when it's time to remove them, you can take the bung off. You can if you say you've got your bung here, just remove your bung very, very slightly, just a little bit, so you can let a gap. And trust me, if you've got 200 nymphs in there, some are just going to naturally move out of that hole. So you can either remove remove it, let loads out, and catch them all, or you can just peel it back, allow 2 or 3 out that you can control, put the bung back, and then deal with those individuals that you've let out. That's another way. So there's 2 very different options there. They're the main 2 that I've kind of employed over the years. Like today, if you've got a hatch where you've only got a few and there are species like this desiccata that don't run around too much, you can just take the lid off. And you can basically just take the lid off and you can just deal with them. Like, I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it with this one. A lot of species are actually surprisingly static when you take them out. They don't run around too much. So there you go. They're the two main. Kind of ways that I've done over the years. I hope that helps. So okay, I'll just do a few then. So if you want to, while I'm sorry about that, guys. While I'm doing this, if you guys want to, if you want to read out any questions, Gavin, I'll answer some questions while I'm just potting up.
Where do you get your 4-ounce cups from?
In Supplies. I used to get them from In Supplies. I sometimes get them from In Supplies. It's an online catering website. I've used them on and off for quite a few years. You can also get them from Amazon. Just search 4-ounce jelly pots. They tend to be advertised as jelly pots. Sorry, I keep forgetting to put my face up, don't I? Very rude of me. Yeah, so
Got technical issues. The Mitch is froze.
You still there?
Hello, I'm so sorry. I must apologise. We're having all kinds of internet issues at the moment. We're really struggling for oomph. So I must apologise. Okay, where was I? Basically, In Supplies have they're a catering company. They do all kinds of plastic pots and stuff. They're online, have their own website. You can also get them from Amazon, eBay. I mean, just do a Google search. They're kind of everywhere. So there you go. That's that. So I'm just going to quickly talk about what I'm going to do here. So basically, you've got your pots. You have your mantis. You've got everything you need right now. So all we need to do now is take off the lid. So like I was saying, there's a lot of species you just wouldn't do this with because obviously they'll just run away all over the place. But I was quite confident. I've dealt with hundreds of Deraplatis ooths over the years. So I mean, look, they're just sat there, so you can see. There they are. Look, they're not running around. That's why I chose these. Oh, well, I didn't choose. I decided to do these because they'd hatched. I was doing them tonight anyway, and it helps that they're just very stationary. So this is very easy. So basically, we can take our time. We don't need to rush. We'll get rid of the 2 on the lid to start with. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Let me just. There we go. Right, there we go, guys. So we've got one there. I'm going to scoop him in. There we go. A little push up the bum, and he went straight in. No sweat. There you go, you see. He's perfectly happy. He'll probably go straight down for a drink. There you go. He's having a drink right now. That's generally what they do. They come out from the pot where they've hatched out. They're obviously dying for a drink, and that's the first thing they'll do. Look, there he is. Look, he's having a good old drink. Glug glug glug.
Oh, no.
Still drinking. There we go. He's having a really, really good drink right there. So basically, we've got our little guy in the pot. Just put the mesh over the top and then fix the lid down. Done. There he is. There he is. Look, straight up to the top. Just going to relax. Hang out on the mesh. Perfectly happy. Had a nice drink. Perfect. So there you go, guys. That is all I'm going to do. And I'm going to do that for all of them, basically.
Have you fed the nymphs between hatch and now?
No, is the answer. So I was going to come on to that, and I may as well move on to that now. James, thank you. Basically, no, mate. They've not been ready to feed up until now, really, and I like to get them out of the of the enclosure of the incubator tub before I feed them. So I'll just talk about that briefly. So to answer the question, no. Basically, I like to get them out of the tub first. I like to rehouse them and then I feed them. So basically, generally across the board, all nymphs are not ready to feed before 36 hours, often 48 hours. So what I will do is I won't touch them for usually 24 to 36 hours. Usually I'll leave them about 36 hours. Obviously, it depends on what time of day or night that they hatch. But I will never do anything with them for at least 24 to 36 hours. I like to leave it usually 36 hours. Some species are ready to be fed sooner than others. And also they obviously, a lot of them really, really need a drink. So I will remove them 36 to 48 hours. I'll pot them up and then I'll feed them. So I am going to feed them tonight because these actually hatched just over 48 hours ago. So they are definitely ready. So we should see some feeding as well when I give them a few flies later on. So no, James, basically I don't feed them before I take them out. They're not ready to feed before 48 hours. They're just not developed enough. You've seen how they come out of the ooth. Hopefully I will do a stream in the future where I catch an ooth hatching and we can get that live on stream and we can talk about all that good stuff. So you've seen how they come out. They come out like shrimp. They're all kind of underdeveloped. They come out very, very soft like jelly. And they basically take at least 36 hours to dry, to develop. Because not only, it's all right when you see them running around inside, after like maybe an hour. Because when they first hatch, they'll fill out. The air and water kind of fills inside, inside their internal systems. And that kind of allows them to take on their shape of the mantis. And then you see them, they're usually just like perched for a while where they're just hardening up, getting there. And then they start running around a little bit. But obviously, just because they're running around, it doesn't mean to say that they're hungry or that they indeed need any food. Because even though they look okay on the outside, there's probably a lot of complex chemistry and bioactivity going on inside the body that we can't see. That's why when you see things like orchids that come out that are red and white when they first hatch, within the hour or two they turn to red and black, and that obviously just gives you a visual element of what potentially is going on inside. So yeah, just because they're running around, they're definitely not ready to feed for about 48 hours. And also, if you feed them before 48 hours, not only will they just ignore the food, but they will get stressed out by that food because they're not ready to eat. They're not, they're not developed enough internally. Their bodies aren't craving any kind of nourishment just yet because it's busy doing all the things that it needs to do to make it ready for the outside world. So basically, if you put food in there before 48 hours, the mantis is just going to run around. It's just going to cause havoc. They're all going to get stressed out. They're going to run around like crazy. And all that's going to do is hurt the mantis because they're only, don't forget, they're still hardening up. They're not hard enough yet. They're just going to fall. They're going to hurt themselves. They're going to damage limbs. And then obviously that's severely going to hinder their ability to survive. So, no, don't feed them before 48 hours. Take them out of wherever it is you've incubated them. Either put them in pots like I'm doing now, or like I said, the other alternative is obviously you have to think about the amount of space that you have. If you don't have the space and time to pot your mantids up, either one or two in these pots, and you have to like put them in a big mesh cage, make sure that that mesh cage is adequate enough for those mantids to survive. Like I say, fold over some tissue, put your tissue in there, keep it damp, keep it moist so they can have a drink. But also think about the humidity. Mesh cages do not hold humidity, so you can either put the mesh cage inside a box and put a little kind of piece of tissue over the top. That will help to retain the humidity inside that. But also then after 2 days, you can chuck a load of flies in there and they will feed obviously all together as a group in that mesh cage. If you leave it longer than 48 hours, eventually they are going to start to cannibalize. Some species, like I say, may start to cannibalize within 36 hours, but usually, in my experience, they're usually just not that bothered about touching each other for the first 48 hours. So you've got 2 days, 36 to 48 hours, leave them where they are, let them harden up, let them develop, and then after about 48 hours, the feeding response is instinctively going to kick in, and that's when they'll start threatening each other, they'll start having a go at each other, and they will start eating each other eventually. So take them out, split them up, do whatever you need to do to make everything okay, and then you can feed them like I'm going to do tonight. Okay, good. Right, I'm going to do a few more. There you go. No problem. You're welcome. And hi, Jeremy. How's it going, mate? I'm just going to have a quick drink. Right, we'll carry on, shall we? Right, so like I say, I've got about 20 to 25 or so in here. I'm basically just going to, encourage them in. Just going to get these top few. I've not quite got the camera set up right tonight. I'm having to lean right into the middle of the table to show you. There we go. There's another little guy. So there you go. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. I mean, obviously, I'm making this look quite easily, only because the mantis are helping me make it easy because they're not running around like crazy mad hatters. They are being very, very calm. Calm as a Hindu cow. I just need to make some space for the nymphs up here. So once we've done all this, I will get the old critter cam out and we'll have a closer look at these little beauties. So there we go. We're getting through these. So like I say, these are Deroplatis desiccata, the giant. Well, they've got a number of common names. We'll just stick with the proper name because I don't like using common names. It's very misleading, especially with the Deroplatis genus. So, I mean, these are lovely and calm. I mean, they're right on the edge. Like I say, these hatched just over 48 hours, so they are definitely ready. I should have, I mean, ordinarily, I would have done these this afternoon, but because the timing was right for me to do them this afternoon. But because I thought it was a good opportunity to do a quick stream, just going through what I do. and maybe showing you guys something maybe you've not seen before or you've not thought about before, or just reassurance as well. You know, it's not just about, I know there's a lot of you guys out there who have been keeping mantis for some years. You all know, you know, some of you guys really know all your stuff, and you just want to, sometimes it's just nice to see what other people are doing, you know. You may not see anything, you might even look and you might think, you know what, that's a stupid way of doing things. I'm going to stick with my way. But, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. This works for me. So basically, I am potting these up. I'm potting these up in ones. Now, I wouldn't normally do that, but like I said before, I'm just going to cut some more of these up. Like I said before, it all depends on what species it is. You know, different species have different requirements, and different species will reproduce and hatch varying different numbers of nymphs. So you have to basically judge. You have to approach every species slightly differently, depending on what's going on, what it is. Yeah, it's very, very important that you think about what species you've got, how many nymphs do you think it's going to hatch, and all that good stuff, because that helps you to prepare what you're going to do when they hatch. Because the last thing you want to do is to have a hatch of about 300 nymphs, and then you just completely haven't got a clue about what to do next. You know, you're not set up for it. You didn't expect 300 nymphs. What are you going to do with them? You know, and that's just not fair on the mantis, is it? I mean, it's not their fault that they were born under the supervision of somebody who ain't got a clue what they're doing. I mean, it's just not good enough, and it's not fair. And unfortunately, it happens a lot. And what happens is people freak out, and then they either lose all the mantis or most of them, you know, and obviously we don't want that. We want them all to survive. I know, obviously that's just not possible a lot of the time, but we want to ensure as many as possible survive. So there you go. Stuart says his earphones just died. Sorry to hear that, my friend. Sorry to hear that. I hope you tune in, watch the replay, and I'll see you again. So, right, just got some more going right there. So we'll do that. No problem, James. Going to put some more tissue in there. So we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got about another 15 left to do. So I'm hoping I've got enough.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. It's on the back, I think. Can you see it? It went up my arm. So it's possible on my back.
So yeah, this is a little bit of a Q&A, guys. So if anybody's got any questions, try and keep it on topic if you can, because I'd quite like to just advertise this stream as how I separate freshly hatched nymphs. So if you've got any questions about hatching nymphs, what do you do when the nymphs have hatched? How do you deal with them? How do you treat them? What's the best way to look after them? You know, all that good stuff. Just please don't hesitate to ask. All you need to do is put a Q in front of your question, leave it in the chat, and Gav will sign that up for me. And I'll do my best to answer your questions. So there you go. I've prepped another 10. And we're just going to keep going. Put the little mantis in the pot. So like I was saying, depending on how many you're expecting will dictate how you pot up or prepare your nymphs. once they've hatched. I'm doing these one by one simply because, obviously, I do this full time, so I have the time and the space and the capability to feed each of these mantis individually, and it's always less stressful for the mantis if you can house them individually. But I also appreciate it's not practical because I don't house every single species individually in a pot. I'm doing this now simply because there's only about 25 nymphs in here, and I can deal with 25 nymphs. I can add that to my feeding regime, no problem, and it'll just slot straight in with all the other nymphs that I feed. So I'll put these just one in a pot, and because it's better for the mantis, it doesn't stress them out. They don't have to deal with other mantids in their pot. That one's looking a bit lame, actually. It's struggling a little bit. So basically, if I get a hatch where I get considerably more, so let's say I get 60 to 80 hatch, what I will do is I will usually pot those up 2 in a pot. So I usually put 2 nymphs in a single pot if I've got like 50 or 60 or 70, 80. Obviously, even that's quite a lot of work because you're talking about 40 or 50 pots, even with 2 in. I wouldn't put more than 2 in, not because the only reason I wouldn't put no more than 2 in is not because it's not, these are okay sized pots. You could probably get 3 in there and they'd be okay for a while. But you will have to split them up eventually. And also, if you've got more than 2 in there, when you come to take the lid off to feed them, potentially they're going to run out. They're going to run out, depending on which species it is. Again, like I said, some species are a lot more active than others. These are very social ones. What is that, Gav? I'm trying to be professional here.
It's Stephanie's. It's the child. Time.
So basically, if I were to put 3 in there, then when I take the lid off to feed them, they potentially could run out, and then I've got 3 running in different directions, and you really don't want that. So 2 is manageable, 2. It depends what species. Again, it depends what species they are. If 2 can be a handful. 2 can also be a handful. If you've got really active species like ghosts, believe it or not, ghosts are super active when they're young nymphs. They're one of the most active nymphs, actually. And if you've got 2 in there and they're really active, and you take the lid off and they run out, they're going to run in different directions. So and then you've got to contain that. So if you can, wherever you can, just add 1. But if you need to add 2, that's perfectly fine as well. So yeah, we've just got a couple still stuck to the ooth right there. Just tidying up a little bit. And then we've just got a few in there. Haven't got my tweezers, so normally what I would do is just entice them out from the nooks and crannies that you can see in and around the ooths. So you'll probably notice I've got like 5 ooths in there. These are all desiccators. So basically, now that one's hatched, I'll give it a few days, and then I'll leave it in there for at least a week probably, which is total overkill. But then I'll just take it out and throw it away, and all the others are there ready to hatch. So you just want to encourage the little guys out. You just stick your finger in, and they'll start moving either towards your finger or away from your finger, and you can just direct them. So there you go. All going in very nicely. I think we're just not quite going to have enough. Not quite going to have enough organza. Going to have to cut another sheet. So we're nearly done. There we go. We've just got 2 left. I'll just finish these, then I'll take a question, and then we'll do a bit of feeding as well. So we just need. I've got 2 more nymphs in there. Just need 2 more pots, like so. There we go. Tissue in the pot. Give them a little spray. There we go. We've just got 2 more. We'll just stick my finger in there just to encourage it. Actually, that one's stuck. So sometimes the legs get stuck in some of the ooth stuff. Yeah, that one's not very good. So we've actually just got 1 left. That one wasn't in very good condition. There we go. Last one, little guy. Right. That's all of them, and with perfect last piece of mesh, cut them to perfection, cut the right amount. It's almost like I've done this before. There we go. Any more questions, Gav? Well, I mean that's a little bit off topic. I am going to do a breeding stream at some point, but I'll quickly go through it. So ghost mantids are actually, they're a very good beginner species to breed. So they're quite tolerant. The females can be quite tolerant of the males, I mean, how I need to be doing a bit more interaction here, really, because there's some questions that I need to ask about your ghost mantids. I mean, obviously, you need to make sure that the female and the male are mature enough. So you're looking at 3 to 4 weeks for the male, and 4 to 5 weeks for the female. Maybe even a little bit longer, depends how big the female is. Basically, you want to make sure that the female is obviously well fed in the build up to the breeding. And I'm not going to go into too much detail here because I could get bogged down in this. I'm going to do another stream for breeding. Basically, you want to make sure that your female is of a certain age, 4 to 5 weeks. Make sure she's very well fed, and then you can just introduce you can either introduce the male into the female or the female into the male. Personally, I introduce the male into the female. I'm not going to go into reasons why right now, but you want to be looking at putting the male behind the female. Make sure that, anyway, there's a couple of ways you can do this. I'm just trying to work out what kind of thing you want me to say in terms of preparation for breeding your ghost mantids. I think I'm going to go back on what I said, actually. I'm going to go back on what I said because I'm thinking of different species here. For the ghosts, I would actually put your female in with the male. I would let the males can be a little bit skittish, so I would make sure that your male is in a reasonably sized enclosure, like a 20 by 30 or something like that, and make sure that he's very used to his environment. He's been in there for quite a while, and he's confident in his surroundings. And then you can introduce the female to the male. Make sure the male has seen her, so you can show her to him, and then put her in front of him, and hopefully that is enough for him to see her, and notice that she's a male ready to be paired. Basically, and then you could give her some food so that she's eating some food before hopefully before the male jumps on. Sometimes if the males are really keen, they'll just jump straight on, but sometimes they need to gain that little bit of confidence. But the main thing in preparation really is to think about is feeding, making sure the female's well fed, but not so well fed that she won't take any more food, because you need to make sure that she's going to take a little bit of food before you before you hope that the male jumps on her. So yeah, I mean that's the main thing really. There are a lot of other details, but like I said, I knew this would happen. I don't want to get bogged down in questions that aren't related to ooth hatches and things like that. So that's mainly the main thing that I want to talk about today. So yeah, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it there. Any questions related to nymphs, hatched nymphs, and feeding and that stuff, Gav?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Andy's got a relatively. It's not too bad. It's to do with what's the easiest and hardest to breed and raise as nymphs. I mean, again, it's a very, it's quite an in-depth question. Gav's disappeared. Hang on a minute. Yeah, I'm going to do a breeding. I am going to do a breeding stream, James. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that at some point. Definitely going to do breeding tips. You know how to get how to basically approach going about breeding and stuff. So yeah, I think. But I want to leave that for another stream because what I want to do is just have streams specific to certain topics. Like I say, I'm doing this one simply because these were ready and they needed to be done. So I'm just going to carry on with this. So basically, they've all been done now. I've potted those all up. I've got them over there, as you can see. I am now going to just do a little bit of feeding. I'm going to have a drink first. I don't know where Gab's gone. What did I do? Oh, yeah, there we go. So, we've got a little bit of feeding. I've got my fruit flies in my tub here. Now, most species of mantis nymphs are really quite tiny. Like I said before, these are actually quite a good size. Deriplatic species are a really nice size to begin with, and so they can take either D. hyde or Drosophila hyde or Drosophila melanogaster. They'll take either of those, and what you can do is you can use either of those for this particular species. Now, most mantis species are too small for Drosophila hyde. That is the black ones that you can see I've got in the bottom of this tub. But some species, like I say, some bigger ones like this, they'll take Drosophila hyde no problem. So, like I said before, it's been about 2 days since these hatched, which means they are definitely ready to eat. So I think if we feed these guys, they should take some food. Let me just zoom in a little bit more. No, I said zoom in. There we go. So we'll take that off. Got some flies in my little tub. Just keep tapping it down. Tap, tap, tap. You don't want to put too many in. I'm just going to put 3 in. That is it. 3 flies. There we go. Put 3 flies in, not too many. Yeah, you see, it's not quite ready. Little bit jumpy. He'll settle down eventually. If you put too many flies in, the mantis is basically just going to be really, really stressed out. So you don't want to put too many. And also, it's not going to be ready to eat that many anyway. It'll probably only eat 1 maybe tonight, and maybe another one tomorrow. If you put too many in, you know, the flies are very, very active. The mantis is just going to get really stressed out. You can see he's not even ready yet. So like I say, I thought they might take the food straight away, but it's not taken any at the moment. So we're just going to do that, put that to one side, and I'm going to feed the rest of them. I thought it might take it. It's not. I'm just going to move that. Put that to one side. I'm just going to do all of them. So James, yeah, basically, like I was just saying, it depends on the species, man. So some species are definitely ready for dehydrate, and most species are too small for dehydrate. Most species I will feed Drosophila melanogaster, obviously because they're smaller, and most species will stay on melanogaster until they molt for the first time, and then obviously a lot of species will move on to the Drosophila hyde after they've molted just once. A lot of species, some of the smaller species, will stay on Drosophila melanogaster for maybe 2 molts, sometimes even 3. I mean, I've had such tiny species before that they just feed on melanogaster for 2 or 3 molts. But these guys can feed on dehydrate right from the get-go. Sometimes they just get a little bit. Some individuals are just a little bit scared, more scared than others. Some individuals will be a lot more robust, and they'll just take those dehydrate straight away. Sometimes they'll just some of them are a little bit more scaredy cat, and they'll just run off, but they'll get used to them being in the pot with them, and then eventually they'll realize they can actually eat them. So yeah, these guys I will definitely feed dehydrate right from the get-go. I don't know where Gav's gone. So I'm just going to put 2 in actually, because these dehydrate are a little bit they're a bit smaller than a lot of dehydrate because the culture is quite old. But because the other one, there you go, look, this one's having a go already. So we'll see. There you go, look. Yeah, he's feeling a bit feisty. He's not quite sure what to make of it. He's not quite sure what to make of him. He will take it eventually. Hi guys. Hi Alex. Claire's in the house. Josh is in the house. How you doing, guys? So yeah, you've basically missed all the potting up and everything. Now I'm just giving them a quick feed. So yeah, they'll take them eventually. I'm not worried at all about that. So I'll just do another one. There we go. So there you go. See the gesturing, the jabbing out at them. They will eat. They will eat eventually. I'm not worried about that. So let's have a look. James has a question. How long after the first feed will it be before you feed again? So it just depends, really, James. So it depends on how willing they are to feed when I feed them. So like I said before, 48 hours after they've hatched, I'll pot them up like this, and then I will feed them like this now. So these might not touch this food until tomorrow. So basically you have to make sure, you have to just check when they first take their first feed. Because if they don't touch any of their flies until tomorrow, then that's the day that it's like, right, tomorrow is the day that's the day when they fed. and then I won't feed them again. It just depends. Again, it depends on the species. Some species, they will eat all those flies that I put in, and then move on. If that's the case, I'll feed them again, usually every 2 to 3 days. Again, it depends on the species. Some species, they'll eat a few flies, and then they'll just be ready to eat again within a day or so. Whereas some species will eat the flies, and then they'll just be really fat. So you don't need to worry about it. So I gauge it based on which species it is and how well they fed. But as a general rule, first instar nymphs I will feed usually every 2 or 3 days. Again, once they've had that first feed, you could feed them again after 2 days, and then once they've had that second feed, you can judge whether or not you want to feed them 3 days after that. Because obviously, once they've had their first 2 meals, they've got more nourishment inside them already, so they're likely to be a little bit fatter. You know, they don't need to be fed quite as much, so you don't need to worry about this. There's no fixed like must feed them every 2 days. It really doesn't work like that. It's like you basically you just have to check. Keep an eye on how much they're feeding. Keep an eye on their abdomen size. If their abdomen's swollen, you don't need to feed them. Just do not feed them until their abdomen gets a little bit smaller. Like even if it's been three days or even 4 days, if the abdomen is really fat and swollen, you really don't need to worry about feeding them too much. But like I said, there's a lot of species, they'll have 2 or 3 flies for their first feed, and then their abdomen will still be relatively flat. So then you just have to check them, think, okay, I fed them 2 days ago, the abdomen is still a bit flat, I'm going to feed them again a little bit more, feed them again, just a few flies, and then check when they've eaten them. If their abdomen is nice and plump after that, you could probably go 3, maybe even 4 days. At this point, the most important thing is keeping them well hydrated. Make sure you spray them. Little nymphs like this need to be sprayed every day, because if you've got a setup like what I've got with the with the entire lid cut out, that humidity is going to rise and it's going to dry out. It's going to rise up out of the mesh and it's going to dry out quite quickly. So you need to spray them every day if they're nymphs. But like I said before, just be careful when you're spraying them, because some of these nymphs are quite fragile. So try to just spray down the side or away from the mantis. Make sure you don't spray the mantis, because you could quite easily pin a mantis down on the tissue if you spray it too much, and it'll stick there and it will just die. So you have to be very careful about that. So there you go. Gav is back. Gav's back. You all right, dude?
Yeah.
Are you sure, man?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, that one's fed. So, just going to go back to the old feeding. I'm just going to keep going with this. So, like I said before, I'm only putting a couple of flies in. They're not taking them yet. I've not seen any of them take them yet. They're still a bit unsure. Going to put 2 in there because, like I said before, you don't want to put too many in because they're very, very active. Those flies are very active, and they will stress the mantis out. Look, the mantis doesn't really know what to make of it. He's never encountered a fly before. Imagine if you were just born, 2 days later, there's another living creature running around inside your home. So basically, it's going to be a little bit stressed out. You don't want to put too many flies in there because the mantis will basically just bounce off the walls if you put too many flies in there. So just a couple. Make sure they're taking them. These are still a little bit unsure. I was hoping they were going to take them by now. It has been 2 days. They are ready to eat, but like I said, they just need a little bit of time. Just going to put 2 in there. There we go. 2 little flies. You know, and if they're jumping around and climbing the sides, just keep tapping the pot down like that. Just keep tapping down like that. There you go. Let's see if this one eats. I will get the macro lens out eventually. and we'll have a look at them. They're not taking the flies just yet, but that's fine. Ah, right, I see. Ah, okay. Yeah. Oh man, no wonder you've got a face like back end of a bus.
Mm.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry, man. Right. Yeah, there you go. James says that his Metallicus stayed on Melanogasters until 4th instar. Yeah, that happens, man. Definitely. There we go. Do you see that guy? Took it straight away. That's what we're after. Took it straight away like a total badass. Caught that, didn't we? We caught that. Well done. Awesome. So that one took it right there. I might have to get Criticam out. It's time to get the Criticam. Criticam.
What are they feeding you?
Oh, we need to make our own words up. Criticam. Why are you so awesome? Yeah, I know that's rubbish.
I try to think of another line. There's not really another good line. Oops.
Oh my god. Right, I think it's time to get Criticam out, guys. We'll have a look at this Theraplatics, Desiccata. Let's have a look at. Let's just have a look. See what we can see up close and personal with the Desiccata. Where is my? Bear with me a minute, guys. I don't know why I keep moving it. Right. So we finally found, after we potted up, we fed 6, and on the 6th one, we finally found a mantis. We finally found a mantis that wants to eat. Woo! Let's do this, guys. Let's do this. We are going to look, see what we can see. Oh man, I'm just not quite ready. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. We'll put the battery. The camera will not work without the battery. Okay, let's do this, guys. Let's do this. Da, da, da. Bear with me, cranking up the old F factor.
Look over the map and then Shit. Got it.
There we go. Right in there. Boom. See if we can get some more light on the go. Da, da, da. Okay, there we go. Deraplatis desiccata. There we go, guys. 2 days old, right there. Look at the shield. Already the shield looks absolutely amazing. How you doing, Peter? You missed all the potting up. I'm sure you don't mind. Let's see if I can get a bit more light on the old job. You can never have too much light. There you go, look at that. First install, we're right in there, guys. We're right in there. Not much of that fly left. Let's just see if we can zoom in a bit more. See if, yeah, look, you can just see the flies just eating the wings now. Polish that fly off. So there you go, guys. That is a first instar Deraplatis desiccata. Up close and personal, eating its first ever fly. We are witnessing the first ever meal of a praying mantis that is literally 48 hours old. Right there. That fly, how is that fly still in the pot when I've had the lid off for the last 5 minutes? What an idiot. What an idiot. Talk about, I mean, just run already. Let's have a look at the rest of it, shall we? Look at that. Look at the colours. Beautiful. Whoa, look at that. Absolutely beautiful, guys. It's only first instar. Look how gorgeous it is. If its abdomen was just slightly curled over a little bit more, I could probably sex it already with this lens on it. But I can't quite see it enough to do that. So there you go. Look at the stripes on its legs. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's just already, after 2 days, it's already a perfect apex predator, ready to survive, make its mark on the world, take the world by storm. Look at it. It's just incredible. Feeding response was just amazing. Put the fly in, boom, took it straight away. That's what we like to see. It's one tough cookie right there. There we go. Absolutely beautiful. Perfectly formed. Perfectly ready for the world. And what it needs to do to survive. Right there. Awesome. Look at the tarsus right on the end. You can just make out the little hooks right at the end. Look. There we go, guys. Beautiful. Right. It's just a little bit dark inside where its mandibles are, where it's feeding on the fly. I can't quite get in with enough light. Believe me, I've got the I've got the light literally as close to the mantis as I can. It's just not quite enough. Just got a little bit of fly left. So there you go. Perfect. First install that, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I think we'll just hang on a little bit, I think. Should we just hang on? Because it'll do some cleaning, I imagine, once it's eaten. So we might be able to get another look at it. Yeah, I've got a bunch more, Andy. If you hang on a few days, man, I've got a bunch more coming through. Some other species coming through as well that have recently been ready. They're ready to go soon. So I've got some more species to add to the website. So if you can hang on a little bit, man, there's a few more for you to choose from soon. I'm gonna have a sweet. I don't think I can get any closer. Oops.
Yeah. This one's more, it'll just try to see what spiders.
I love the colours. Colours and the patterning. Absolutely stunning. I mean, they're just so perfectly adapted, aren't they, to what they need to be?
Yeah.
Gonna hang out in the foliage and the dead leaves and the forest floors, and with all the sticks and the rotting, decaying organic materials, and just gonna blend in absolutely perfectly. Just unbelievable. We'll definitely do some criticams on. I can't wait to do some criticams on the various mantis species as well.
Yeah.
And so we can have a good natter about them. But yeah, just amazing, because it's not just the colours and the patterns of the colours, and it's the textures, isn't it? It plays just as an important role in their camouflage. The textures, as because without the texture, there's the colours will help at first glance, but the textures just finish it off, don't they? Really, so.
Especially if the predator's got compound eyes like they have.
Yeah.
They need to have that texture
to
give it dimension.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at the shield. The shield is it's just so complex. There you can see it's just finishing off the last morsel of that fly. So I'm hanging on, because the reason I'm hanging on is because once it's finished, it'll probably do a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of that pruning and stuff. So we'll hang on for that. So just if anyone's just joined in, obviously we've been talking about what to do with the nymphs once they hatch from their ooth. I've repotted about 23, I think, nymphs. I've talked about what I do, and I've shown how to do it, how I do it anyway, what works for me. And so I've talked about that, and I've gone through it. I've answered some questions. So if you've only just joined us, please go back. There's quite a lot of questions been answered. There's been a lot of chat about what I do and how I go about it, how to approach it. Things to think about when you're before you even incubate an ooth. You need to be thinking about. There's things to think about when you're incubating the ooth. There's things like, what species is it? How big is the ooth? How fertile is it going to be? How many nymphs would I expect from this ooth to hatch from this species? And that is going to dictate how you set up incubating your ooth. There are various different ways of incubating the ooth. I'm going to do another stream on that, so I won't go into that right now. And then once obviously the ooth hatches and you've got all these nymphs, what do you do? Well, I've talked about that previously in the last hour or so. So please go back, and there's lots of tidbits or information in there to help you out. This is now the product of those potting up and individually potting those nymphs. I've fed a few. I was waiting for one to take a fly. This one took a fly. Absolutely no hesitation. It took that fly. It's enjoyed it. It's devoured it. We've had a look at it while it's been feeding. I've kept the camera on it simply because I'm hoping that it's going to do a little bit of cleaning in a minute, which they usually do. You can just see its mandibles keep moving around. I think it's still chomping on a little bit. It's something, but just look at the coloration. This is a first instar nymph, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's not until it's like when we were looking at it a minute ago with the naked eye through the big fish camera. They just look like, you know, brown, almost black, completely plain brown, black nymphs, you know, very uninteresting, just boring brown or black. And then look, boom, you get the macro lens out, you put a little bit of light on, and all of a sudden, our very boring brown and black nymph turns into an absolutely awesome killing machine, perfectly adapted for its surroundings, perfectly, it's just, I mean, look at it. It's just adapted. And that's what I was hoping for right there. I wanted to do a little bit more of that. But the patterning on this, honestly, look at the colours and the patterns, the textures, the stripy legs, all, you know, all adapted. All adapted over millions of years perfectly to create this awesome predator. I was hoping it was going to do a little bit more cleaning. We'll just give it another minute, and then I might do a little bit more feeding because I don't. It's 11:05 now. I don't want to be up all night. So, okay. I was hoping it was going to do a bit more cleaning, but it's not. So I think I'm just going to crack on.
It's a dirty one. I think it's a dirty mantis.
There we go. Anyway, guys, there we go. Deraplatix dessicata, up close and personal. First instar, right there. Look at that. It looks absolutely stunning. Eyes are absolutely gorgeous. Everything about it is perfect. It is an absolutely amazing specimen. Just look at it. I can't get enough. Right, that'll do. Okay, we've had a look at that. I'm going to crack on and feed the rest now. So, there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. First instar, Deraplatix dessicata. Had a little feed. I'm going to put another couple of flies in there just because it ate one, but obviously the others escaped when I was having a big nosy at it. So I'm going to just put Critter Cam away.
Literally.
And I'm going to feed a little bit more. Turn that off. Turn that off. Right. So I'm just going to give that a little bit more food.
Just need to stack the pots and sauce. I got more.
Get the old. All right, James. You have not had the dessicata yet. Oh, honestly, mate, you're in for a treat because the dessicatas is one of my favourite Deraplatix species, mainly because both the males and females both grow to a good size. So the males grow really big. So it makes a bit more interesting. But yes, you should definitely get that. I know you've got a voucher, my friend. I know you're patiently waiting. Everybody out there with their vouchers from the fundraiser are patiently waiting for me to update my species list, which I'm going to do over the next few days, my friend. So I'll keep you updated on that. I will. I'm going to put that down. So there you go. Just going to keep feeding now, guys. I've got quite a lot to get through. I've still got about 20 to do. I'm just going to crack on because time's ticking on. So I'm just going to put 3 flies in each of these. There we go, look. So if you're wondering what I'm doing here with the flies, basically, that one looks interested. Look, I've got a feeling he's going to snatch one. Look, you can see his little antennae going. He's watching the flies, watching the fly. He's going to go get the fly. He's going to get the fly. Get the fly. Get the fly. Oh, he's watching him. He's watching him. He's interested. He's watching, but he's not doing anything. He's interested. Right, we gave you a chance. I mean, what you've got to remember is these guys have literally only been born 48 hours ago. Their mum is not there to feed them. If their mum was there, she would eat them. So you're not going to get any maternal love. Or, I mean, I'm not saying that, they don't. Some species will kind of like what appears to be protecting or harbouring some kind of connection to ooths that they've laid, especially the Deroplatis. It has been shown. I've seen females that have laid ooths stay over that ooth for weeks. They'll just sit there and like live on the ooth like a stick, and they'll do that for however long it takes. Basically, sometimes I have to basically just remove the females. And Deroplatis is one of those species one of those genus that will do that. But like I was saying, they're 48 hours old. No one's taught them how to feed. No one's taught them what they need to do to survive. It is all pure instinct, whether or not it's some kind of DNA memory, some genetic memory. There's an instinctual aspect to it as well. And they don't really know what to do at first. They've got all of a sudden, they've been born. 2 days later, all of a sudden, you've got these little things running past you, basically just being all active around you. What are you supposed to make of that? For some, they run. Others, they watch with interest, like this one's doing. Look, watching with interest. It's not running. And they gesture a little strike out. The instinct is telling them to just strike out, and then but for some the instinct is so strong. For some, like the one that I saw previously, they'll just slash out, they'll grab that fly and they'll have it. The instinct is so strong and they're ready. For others, it just takes a little bit more time, but they'll get there. They'll definitely get there eventually. Let's see what people are saying. Pete says he had 3 and it turned out female. Well, yeah. There you go. So I can usually sex this particular species. I can usually sex most species at second instar. Some you can even sex at first instar. But I can basically sex these particular ones. I can usually have... There's sometimes you can sex them at first instar. It just depends. Some are easier than others to sex. Some individuals are a little bit more developed than others. So it just depends. But I can definitely sex these at second instar. So, I think I've said all I need to say about the practicalities of dealing with nymphs that have just hatched out. So for the flies, all I've done is I've got two pots, two plastic pots, one a little bit bigger than the other. And all I do is take some flies out of the main culture, add them to one of the pots, just tip some in, and then add that over the top, and it just works as a lid. Just put one inside the other. Not that. And it's just a temporal thing, so I can just access it very, very quickly. So you put your flies in the bottom one, like that. Put the flies in there. And the secret is to just keep tapping, tap, tap, tapping. That is your goal in life, to make sure those flies don't rise to the top. Just keep tapping, keeping them down. And then when you're not using it, put that to one side, and then you're done. What species? Gecko Gaming. This is Deroplatis desiccata, which is it's a giant deadleaf mantis, but we don't use common names around here because there are several giant deadleaf mantids, and as a breeder, obviously, just asking for giant deadleaf mantis isn't really very useful, because there are several species of that. So we go by their scientific given name, which is Deroplatis desiccata. That's the one we've got right now, mate. Thank you very much. There we go. We're cracking through these. So I'm not going to hang around too much longer after I've done these guys. Gosh, it's a school night, and I've got to crack on. It's already gone on far longer than I originally wanted it to. So I'm just going to finish these. I only want 3 in there. So there you go. I think I've said everything that needs to be said. I was going to do that. I was going to do that giveaway, Gav.
All right.
But because I said I was going to do one every stream, didn't I?
Yeah.
I noticed you put a hashtag in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
I just thought I'd encourage them.
Yeah. And also, I'm just wondering if there's a way you can extract those hashtags in some way and filter them into the StreamYard giveaway tool.
Not, you probably have to speak to, maybe somebody like Amy, or because I know she's done a lot of giveaways using the hashtag in the chat.
I mean, obviously we can do it in the well, not like now. I can do it in the stream now, sort of thing. But I don't know whether or not you can import external chat hashtags from people into the live giveaway tool. Yeah. I don't think you can. I think it only draws hashtags from within the stream chat at that time. I don't think you can take hashtag, import them from elsewhere from a different time.
Yeah.
So
can you not cut and paste?
Yeah, probably. Like I say, I don't
time consuming, isn't it?
Yeah, well, to be honest, yeah, well, that's why I was wondering if there was a way you could automatically import them direct from the source. I've got a feeling you can't. I don't think you can. I think it only works. It's not a very sophisticated device. I don't think system. I think it just draws. It can only draw like information from the live chat at that time. I mean, it'd be nice if you could, but I don't think you can. But that one's a little bit flighty. I don't think that one's going to make it. So yeah, Gecko Gaming. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, or he or she or whoever you are. Thank you very much for tuning in. And yeah, look out for the next ones. We've got the what do we call it? Bioactive Banana Bonanza. Something like that. Bioactive Bonanza. Bioactive Banana, Bioactive Bonanza. We've got all that going on in a few days. I'm not sure exactly what day it's going to be. Wednesday or Thursday. I think probably Thursday. Going to do a live stream where I'm going to do a bioactive setup. That's coming this week, guys. Look out for that. It's going to be cool. I can showcase you my new breeding project. That's going to be awesome. Peter's on the way. Night, Peter. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. Right, I'm just going to put this back because we've nearly done. In fact, I have. I've done them all. I've finished doing the feeding. I think that might be about it. So yeah, it does. I mean, Andy, if you remember during the fundraisers, I was doing the Secret Santas, and they were the live chat generators for the yeah. StreamYard has that, but I think you can only. I don't think you can import. I don't think you can extract kind of data like information from outside the chat. I think it's all done live within the chat. So I think that's the only way it works. Yeah. So, like I said before, I think I said to people before, if you want to get involved and you want to do me a big favor, if you want to go back when this is finished, if you could possibly go back to the comment section under the video or in YouTube of this when I'm finished, and just make a comment. You know, anything you might want to say, any questions that you might want me to talk about in another stream, any notes or suggestions you might have about this particular stream, how it's gone, whether or not you think I could have talked about something else as well, or whatever, you know, anything you want to say, anything relevant, you know, just make a few comments. That would really, really help me out. Thank you so much to all you guys who made the comments in the previous video. Thank you so much. I've had a pretty hectic day. I haven't had a chance to reply to all your comments, but I will do, I promise. So thank you. Right then, guys, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's tuned in, and also thank you to everyone who is watching this on the playback. I hope the information was okay for you. I hope you found it interesting, and I thought you found it informative. I tried to cover most of the basic kind of work that goes into repotting freshly hatched nymphs. That what I've shown you in this stream is pretty much how I do it all the time. Like I say, the only variations or differences is depending on if I know a species is going to hatch a lot more nymphs, then I may just I'll approach it slightly differently. I might just put the ooths in a slightly bigger container, or I'll just I'll adapt the container so that I can do the taking out the nymphs and separating the nymphs slightly differently when the time comes. But it's all about preparation. Now, I will do another stream later on, which will talk about different ooths, different species, and how I incubate the various different types, sizes, and why I do that, and the way I do that. So we can talk a little bit more about incubating ooths in another stream. But I hope this stream was useful to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Look out for more of these. There's going to be a whole series of what works for me. Basically, the clue is in the title. These streams are just going to be all the things that I do around the bug shed, in the bug room, and Unseen Universe in general. All the little things going on behind the scenes. There's just going to be streams pertaining to various subjects and what works for me, how I do it, and why it works for me in the way that it does. So thank you so much, guys. Look out for those. And don't forget to tune in. In the midweek, there's going to be a rehousing of Bonanza proportions. The banana bioactive Bonanza rehousing. That's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to that. That's also going to be a new series. The bioactive setups, rehousing, all my breeding stock is going to be upgraded to full bioactive setup. So look out for that. There's going to be a whole series of those as well. So guys, thank you so much. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your time. Whatever it is you're doing, have fun, and I'll see you later. Take care. Goodbye. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you later, guys. Thanks. Bye. Right then. I'm still going.
fucking sprint.